once again. Welcome to Fred's Footy Fest. Today we'll be looking at round 21 of the NRL Premiership. So to kick us off, we have Thursday night's clash between the Dragons and the Tigers. Yep, this is going to be Battle of the Wooden Spoon. Honestly, this one I think I'll tip the Dragons, only by a small margin of 6 points. This is because both teams are not very good, and they are the favourites to win this one, and on paper they look to have the better side, so I think that's good enough for me to tip the Dragons. Friday, 6 o'clock, is a clash between the Warriors and the Raiders. Now, last week we saw the Warriors flog the Sharks, whereas the Raiders, I think they had the bye last week, but Warriors, they're in 5th place. They're looking like a strong side, and especially being in New Zealand at their home for this one, I think there'll be no challenge. The Warriors will easily beat the Raiders. Moving on, 8 o'clock on Friday night is a clash between the Rabbitohs and the Broncos. Now, the Rabbitohs have all their spine players back from Origin, whereas the Broncos also have returning stars Payne Haas and Reece Walsh. Now, for this one, the Rabbitohs are the favourites to win this. However, most people have tipped the Broncos. So, I think for this one, I'm going to go the Rabbitohs. This is because they have their spine players back, as I said. So, I think that's going to be too good for the Broncos in this one. And they're going to be fired up and ready. Moving on, it's Saturday at 3 o'clock, a clash between the Titans and the Roosters. Now, last week we saw the Titans just beaten by Eels by 1 point. Whereas the Roosters, on the other hand, unfortunately lost to the Melbourne Storm. Now, for this one, I think I'll tip the Roosters. This is because Tino Fa'asuamaleaui is out for the Titans, and he plays a major role in their team. So I think it's going to be a crucial loss to the Titans, and potentially they could struggle because of this. So that's why I'm going to tip the Roosters. Moving on, it's 5:30, clash between the Knights and the Storm. Now, I can easily say I'm going to tip the Storm. Even though the Knights got a very good win against the Tigers last week, the Storm also got a comfortable win against the Roosters. Now, in my opinion, I think the Storm are the second best team in the comp, attacking-wise and defensive-wise. So, I think they're just going to outplay the Knights and easily show some class. So, I have to tip the Storm. 7:35 at Queensland Country Bank Stadium is a clash between the Eels and the Cowboys. Now, for this one, I think I'm going to tip the Eels. Although the Cowboys season is starting to come upwards, and they're looking like a team that will get into the top 8 just of recent, I still think the Eels will win. They have been in the top 8 so far this year, and I think they'll be too strong for the Cowboys. However, I'm not going to write the Cowboys off. I think this will be a close match, and it is at the Cowboys Stadium, but I just think the Eels players have been playing just a bit better than the Cowboys ones this year. But as I said, I won't go writing the Cowboys off. Their season has come up real fast, and they're looking to play finals footy once again. But I think I will tip the Eels. Moving on, Sunday 2 o'clock is a clash between the Panthers and the Bulldogs. Holy shit. Panthers, $1 and $2 for them to win. The Bulldogs, $13. That is massive. And that's obviously telling me who to tip here. I'm going to tip the Panthers. 98% of people tip them to win, whereas for the Bulldogs, only 2. Now, the Panthers, they have Nathan Cleary back in the team, plus their Origin reps. That That easily convinces me to tip the Panthers. Whereas the Bulldogs, I think, have a few names out. I can't remember who, but I don't think they're anything major. So I can easily tip the Panthers. This is going to be a flogging. And the final game to wrap up this week's footy is a clash between the Sharks and Manly. Now, last week, we saw the Sharks were embarrassed. And Manly, on the other hand, they were also beaten by the Cowboys. But the Sharks, 44 points unanswered. That's just very disappointing from the club. They have high expectations this year, and they lost to a team that you could probably call underdogs for this season. I think they will redeem themselves. They have a high percentage of tipping this week, and they are the favourites to win this one. Plus, I think they are home for this game. So, I think I will have to tip the Sharks. I think they will bounce back from that terrible loss last week. And that's my tips for this week, folks. Tune in next week for some other great games. And we'll have a quick sneak peek here. Round 22, we'll see the Broncos play the Roosters to kick us off. That'll be a good match. Friday, we'll show the Rabbitohs and the Tigers, followed by Storm and Eels, another great game to watch. Super Saturday, we'll kick off with the Raiders and the Knights, followed by Dragons and Manly. And the 7:35 match will be the Panthers and the Sharks. That will probably be the match of the round. And Sunday, it'll be the Bulldogs and the Dolphins, followed by the Titans and the Cowboys. Next week's bye will be the Warriors. And sorry, I forgot to say that this week's bye will be the Dolphins. So I'll see you next week, everyone. Bye.